the COVID and the future for management education and how it works out.
Right.
We'll take some questions from the audience and different people. So we are live on Facebook also. So we have 500 people there, and we have 190 participants here, and more will be joining in a few minutes from now. And that will take it forward. Social, you have anything else?
Good morning, Dr. Matri, and good morning, the participants. Probably, generally we had to have webinars at 11:30, so students maybe most of them in a misconception of 11:30, but we intimated them. So maybe in the next 2-3 minutes. Right now we are close to 200 participants. Could be there by in the next 5-6 minutes. Could be 50-100 more joining us. Yes, Rajat, you want to say something?
The best time to continue education, right, and do your PGDM or MBA, right, and not wait for a year, because a lot of students have been asking this question, that should they wait for a year or should they go and do the course right now? So that is something which, if you can talk when you are talking to the students.
Can you repeat, Rajat, once again?
So a lot of people want to take a year break and not continue with the education right now. So if that is something which you can have your viewpoint on, right? Also, like I am Tirchi, and before this MDI and other schools which you have been working with, we have been very much fortunate to have you with us on frequent basis, coming to Takshila, taking and talking to our teachers and our leaders and developing our students, right? So what kind of changes you see in the management education, right? And how the students should prepare themselves for the times ahead, right? So what are the changes they need to do from the past towards the future? Right? So that is something if we can cover out. So we'll do around 45-50 minutes of your speaking time. So we'll start and then we'll take some questions. That is good.
Yeah, it is fine. Rajat, let me know. You are telling the participants will be students as well as faculty members.
Most of them are students only. So there are very few faculties. Only our internal faculties and all are there. And
we will be
so we are focused on students.
Okay. So the focus will be on students. Okay, fine. Yeah.
And these all are mostly students who are still building up their careers right now. So they have not started working, right? And they are at the last level of their education. So they would like to do one last course in terms of a management degree or a management program, and then go and work in a corporate or start their own businesses. So that is the kind of students which we have right now in this audience.
Correct. Yeah. Sure.
Right, sir. So then we can start now.
Yes, I think we can 40 people already in place.
Okay. So very good morning, Professor Kishore and Professor Rajat. And you are my good friends, and always you have praised lot of praise. And as Rajat said, I was one correction. I was the Dean at MDI Gurgaon, and even Dean at LNT. The director is called as a Dean. So I was there, and then I moved to IIM Trichy. So whatever my experience in last 30 years in academic and also corporate, and based on that, future of MBA education post COVID-19, I try to highlight some of the insights about 45 minutes or so. Then we can take up the questions. So to begin with, all of I think that. Is it sound is right? It is clear, Kishorji?
Yes, sir. It's very clear. It's very clear. You're audible. Your image is very clear.
Okay. So all of you know that COVID-19. Now, many webinars are happening on COVID-19. So now you know that COVID has changed the lifestyle of each and every one and each and every sector, and education sector is not exceptional. And in education sector, basically landscape of education sector has changed. So because of this COVID-19, now this online education which was sidelined, it has come to mainline. And the mainline education, that is a physical face-to-face education, it has gone to sideline. So the recognition of online, whatever we used to call it as a distance learning, and today we call it as a online, now it has become a part and parcel of every component, and MBA is also not exception to this. And COVID, even though we are close to the campus, you don't have access to the campus. Even though next door is there, a very few steps, but you don't have access. So this is the kind of situation COVID has created. COVID also has taught us many things, and any crisis comes, there are two sides. One side is a crisis, another side is an opportunity. Now it is up to us where to focus. If you focus on crisis, probably we don't get anything, and probably end of the day, end of the year, end of the or whatever the many years, you realize time. Now if you focus on opportunity in the crisis, then probably you may get into a new path. You may create yourself going on the new path, and you may move to the next level or next orbit. And that is where my suggestion to all my dear students, future leaders of the country as well as corporate leaders, is you have to look at the second part, that is opportunity. You have to look at the half glass full instead of half glass empty. Now, when you look at the opportunity in the COVID crisis, first of all, we have to understand ourselves, what I am and how I was post-COVID, and now how I am and how I should be. So understanding self is extremely important. Many times, you know that today, in this changing landscape, technology, particularly digital technology, has changed the life, changed a lot. Now this digital technology creeped into the bedroom. In your bedroom, you have access to internet. Not only bedroom, this digital technology has creeped into in your brain. It is always in your mind. So technology is so close, so connected. And because of that, it is difficult to separate college and home and office and workplace. So this kind of accelerated digital transformation, now again, how to make use of such digital technology is also extremely important. We have plethora of opportunities. So in this kind of environment, then how to take the benefit, how to focus on the our learning is extremely important. Now, what is the changing landscape of higher education after COVID? One change, physical access has denied to the campus because of the COVID, because of the many advisories of the state government and even the central government and even district administration. So because of that, the online come into picture. Now, when the moment online comes, I think when Rajatji was telling, now some people may say that I may take a break and I may join next year once the COVID crisis is over. But I must tell you, time is a very, very valuable. It is valuable, and probably its value is much more than jewels and gold. So that is why 1 year waiting in this fast changing world probably is not good advice. Always sooner is better. Subhasya Sigram in Sanskrit, it is extremely important. That is why whatever the situation comes, whatever the context comes, we should be the first one to lead that path. And that is where it is extremely important. If this channel block, we can get into another channel, but we should not bifurcate, divert, and wait for something else. Something else should wait for you. instead of you waiting for something else. So that is where it's extremely important. If the face-to-face channel is closed, then online channel is open, and digital, lot of opportunities. Probably we can enjoy learning as if we are playing in the ground. It is up to us how to enjoy. It is how to experience. And that is what makes us to a great learning or great scholar or great student. Those who are in this education profession, they are always student. They are always learning, everyday learning. Whether it is a student, whether it is a professor, whether it is a director, everybody is learning every day, and every day new learning come into picture, and we practice those kind of learnings. So that is where it is extremely important. We have to follow the principle of Subhasya Shigram. We should not wait for anything. You should not follow, let us see how all those students who have admitted this year, how they do blended learning online and offline, and next year I can get into that. It is a followership. Leadership means you should take a higher risk. Leadership means you should have a courage. Leadership means you should have a conviction. And all my young leaders are students of Taxila Business School or any MBA student. They should emerge as a great leaders. They should emerge as a future of the nation. So their courage, conviction, and risk, they always come together. And that is where it is extremely important. We should be the first. We should never be the last. And that is why, keeping that principle in mind, I must say, whatever the channel we should get into. Now, what is the mantra for the good institutions for future mantra for the future institutions? Future mantra for future great institutions like Taxila Business School or many great schools in the country. Two important mantras. One is innovation. Second one is fast adaptation. These are the two mantras every institution and every faculty needs to follow. What is that something new coming in the way because of the crisis? Every crisis has given us an opportunity to think differently. And that is where think differently leads to creativity, and then finally it ends as an innovation. So that is why, what is the kind of, for example, the moment face-to-face education, the problem comes, the challenges, immediately we are switched over to the digital, using the digital technology, online education. So probably a blended learning is going to be the best learning in coming years. The moment crisis is over, we'll switch back to the face-to-face. Until crisis, we should go on online, and we should explore the opportunity and plethora of best practices available in the digital platform. And that is where it is extremely important. We have to we should openly accept and online education as long as crisis is there. And this is a different kind of experience, different kind of learning. And I must tell you, the moment you decide you are passionate, your focus is on learning, whether the channel is face-to-face or whether channel is online, you decide to learn, nobody can stop you to enjoy learning and experience. And wow effect of great learning will come into picture, irrespective of what kind of learning it is, whether it is online or whether it is offline. So that is why wholeheartedly accepting, be positive about whatever comes in the way. That is one important thing I must say one should focus. And also you have to, what is that we are doing differently as a school, as a student council, what is that we are doing differently? Many student activities, probably all we used to do face-to-face, now they will all go for virtual. You can wonderfully do many virtual events for the students, and great learning one can experience. So that is how one has to get into innovation, and this is a great opportunity because one door has closed, many doors have opened. Now, why can't you try many doors and you get into different kind of innovations? And while doing innovation, if you do 10 innovation and if you succeed in 6 or 7, more than 50%, 60%, you are going to be a great leader. 2, 3 may fail. All efforts, all the things doing differently may not be successful. 1 or 2 or 3 may fail. But 60 to 70%, your decisions are right and your actions are right and your innovation is giving a great outcome, great result, then you are going to be a great leader. And when such kind of people move to the corporate world, I must tell you, corporate world, you stand up in the crowd and you will be always on the fast track, whatever the corporate you join. So that is where innovation plays an important role for the school, for the students, and for the teachers. Number 2, fast adaptation. Fast means you should be the first one to lead and you also adapt. Adopt means copying as it is. ADOPT. But adapt, ADAPT, adapt means modify and reform. So modify and use it means basically as per your system, as per your structure, you have to fit that particular things wherever it is available. You have to fit into it so that a right bond can be created and great result can be obtained. So that is why adaptation is important than adopting. As it is copying, probably you will not get the great result. But adapt, modify, fit into your system, this online education, into your campus, your system, and whatever your structures, your learning. As a student, as an individual, you yourself is a subsystem. Online into your structure, probably you enjoy and you learn a lot and you also make others to learn. So that is why fast adaptation is the number 2 mantra. You should be getting into that. So innovation and adaptation, these are the 2 important mantras and for the individual students to become a great leader. Then only you stand up in the crowd, because innovation means you are taking risk, you are taking the highest order of courage, and you are also showcasing somebody standing up in the crowd. Adaptation means, again, this also talks about adaptation means you should be the first one to act as a change agent. You should be the first one to lead and you make others to follow and you also convince others. And that is how you are the one of the accelerated adapter. So that is why these 2 are moving in the same direction. Then you are not taking a back seat, you are always front seat. And that is how innovation and adaptation make you to lead from the front and make you to a great leader. Not only as a leader, but you also make others to lead. So others to lead means others to follow your path and they also act in their own way with adaptation and innovation. They emerge as a different leaders. So that is why these 2 things are extremely important. Now to do that, once you decide to go for innovation and adaptation at a school level, as a system, as an individual student, as a system, as a batch, as a system, then next comes a radical shift in learning. So radical shift in learning from face to face, now remote learning, or from physical classroom to the virtual classroom. Now in this kind of learning, you have to get into fast adaptation. You also, because there is an inner resistance to change in many ways, but the moment you decide to move from comfort to discomfort, then only you get into innovation and you get into adaptation. So that is where it is important to fast adaptation and the new channel. So radical shift in the learning, basically what is that I need to focus. And today all of you know that the knowledge is available. The moment you open the internet, the moment you go to the Google or any such kind of digital platform and digital portal, you get a plethora of information. Full of information or information overloading is there. Now, earlier in MBA education, we used to say knowledge, attitude, and skill. These are the 3 important components for MBA education. Today, knowledge is available in Google. Knowledge is available in internet. Knowledge is available in www. Now, once the knowledge is available, if the teacher is trying to give the knowledge, probably you may be knowing already it is available in Google. Already it is available in open source. So now knowledge used to be the number one component. Now it has taken to the number 3 position, and skill used to be the number to the first position. In future, MBA education, the focus is on skill, focus is on attitude, and knowledge comes last. I don't say that knowledge is not required. Knowledge is already available, easily available through Google, and probably younger generation, they capture fast, they learn fast from the open source. And today, need of an hour, priority wise, the skill, the competency comes first, and knowledge moved last, and attitude remain at the center place. So that is why these two components are going to make you a different person. The skill, the competency, and the attitude, they are going to make you a different person, or they are going to make you as a winner over the losers. So if you want to be a winner, if you want to be a great leader, then your focus, these two is important. But anyway, knowledge, it automatically comes because it is available on open sources. And in MBA education, your focus has to be on skills. Now, what kind of skills we are talking about? So once you move to the radical shift from face-to-face to the online education, then we are looking at the skill as an important, competency-based MBA education is going to play an important role in post-COVID. So competency means basically skill we are talking about. Now, what kind of skill you are looking? These are all the future skills. Future skills, how you decide the future skills? I can say these are the 21st century skills. Then one may ask, what are the 21st century skills? No, 21st century skills emerge out of the 21st century corporates, 21st century companies. What are the features of the 21st century companies? 21st century companies, they can't afford to do their business as usual. They are going to do unusual business. Look at during COVID, Mahindra and Mahindra started producing ventilators. Now, look at Mahindra and Mahindra company. It was never into ventilator, but now it is producing ventilator because it is need of an hour for the nation. Using the existing resources, using the existing capability, which is made for something else, now using the same capability, they are producing a new product. Same channel, a new product. Look at how business are getting diversified into a new product. Earlier, same resources, same company, same manpower, they used to produce one product. Now they are moving into a new product, a diversified product, a need of an hour product, a product which is extremely important during the crisis to help the nation and to help the people of the country in India as well as abroad. They got into a new product using the same channel. This is, you see how businesses are changing, how unusual businesses are coming out. This is one example. Second example, people are shifting channel from physical to online, physical to digital. So physical to digital, look at the education itself. The earlier channel was physical, access to physical campus. Now access to remote. It is a remote access or it is a virtual classroom. So now education, same students, same faculty, same resources. Of course, we have invested, now we need to invest a lot in digital technologies for the campus environment or digitalization of campus. But using the existing resources, plus adding some more IT resources, IT infrastructure, now we have moved face-to-face to online. This is, again, we have changed the channel. A product is same, output is same, but the channel we have changed. Education industry, education as a sector is same, but in this sector, we have changed the channel. So this is how it is extremely important how businesses are changing, how the sectors are changing. One has to look into that. Number 3, now people are in the same sectors, in the same channel, same product. However, their demand is more, their demand is increasing. Look at the sanitizer. Earlier demand used to be less, now there is a huge demand. there is a tremendous demand for the sanitizer. There is a tremendous demand for the PPE kits. Now, why PPE kits are coming? For example, earlier we never used to produce, we used to get from China and other countries. Now we started producing. New age industries are coming up because of the context has changed. The crisis has come. COVID has brought the greatest disruption to the world. It is the biggest disruption to the world. So in this kind of environment, it is extremely important. We have to get into different kind of businesses, and all these kind of businesses, I have given just 3 examples. In one place, channel has changed, in one place, product has changed, and in one place, the demand has increased for the same product. So this is how businesses are changing their character, their structure, their product as per a new normal, as per the post-COVID new normal. So in this kind of environment, it is extremely important what kind of skill sets are required. What are the future skills? Future skills not only basically looking at the competency, but also how fast those skills are changing. It is not only having once a skill, it is again skilling, reskilling and upskilling. Once you earn the skill, you practice and you also get a certain kind of learning curve. And from that learning curve, again you have to go for reskill because the job has changed, the role has changed and the context has changed. So that is where it is extremely important. You have to look at the personalized the skill set. While working on skill set, you have to look at the 3 things: whether it can be personalized, whether it is relevant. Relevant means it is to be present. What today needs, that has to be there. Yesterday's skill set is not going to work out today. So that is why whether it is relevant. And the third and most important one is whether it is a contextual. The contexts are changing because of the disruption. If the contexts are changing because of the, then our skill set also keep on updated. So learning, relearning, unlearning have to come into picture. So that is why 21st century skills, basically talking about thinking out of the box. We can call it as a critical thinking. We can call about innovative problem solving. We can talk about technology platform-based solutions. And for that, while working, while learning, we also create certain kind of skill set. Basically, you should also act as a co-creator. You should act as a collaborator. You should act as a communicator. So you should have a co-creative skills. You should have a collaborative skills. You should have a co-learning skills. So collaborative, co-creative or co-learning and also communication skills. So that is how in the new normal, in the post-COVID, these are the skills going to play important role than the earlier skills. So while doing that, again, the leadership, it is a digital leadership because you should be the first one to capture whatever the digital technologies. You have to encompass, you have to use it for what? To make it cheaper, to make it better, and to make it faster. Anything you do, if it is cheaper, faster, and better, every corporate wants, everybody wants it, every government wants it. So how to make it? And that is where the digital leadership plays important. What do you mean by digital leadership? As a student in future MBA, future of MBA in post-COVID, digital leadership means it is earlier, if you look at the leadership in the corporate world, I tell you have to listen. If the meeting is called, the leader will speak and all others will listen and they will clap and they will say it is a great idea. Those days are gone. This kind of leadership is not going to work out. In post-COVID, the leadership requirement for MBA student is the moment leader, emerging leader, when he calls a meeting, he or she calls a meeting, then they listen to the people. Earlier, people used to listen to the leader. Now the time has come, leader has to listen from the people. The moment the leader get the input from everybody, he empower them, he collaborate, and he will empower them. He will say, you go ahead and do it. Because today, the younger generation is more knowledgeable, more competent, more knowing the digital technology. You listen to them and how it works, how it make it better, cheaper and faster. And after listening, you have to empower them, you go ahead and do it. And probably you work with them, you collaborate with them. So this is a kind of digital leadership is required instead of I tell you to. And those kind of skills, that leadership skills required for in coming near future, the MBA education should focus on such kind of leadership. Apart from that, another one is a contextual leadership. The contexts are changing very fast. For example, this COVID-19 has changed the context. It is the biggest disruption in the world at a time, affected every sector. So this kind of disruptions keep coming. The moment disruption comes, the context will change. And the moment context change, you should be recalibrate yourself to be present, yourself to be relevant, recalibrate yourself to be present. So it means you have to change your style, you have to change your skills, you have to get into new skill, you have to change your role, and you have to adapt yourself, and you have to get into an innovation zone. And that is what contextual leadership. And I must tell you, we Indians are best in contextual leadership. So contextual leadership, basically a decision making in contextual leadership is you don't have history. A context has come, new situation has come, new reference has come. So in such situation, the decision making comes out of your intuition. It is a sixth sense. And that you learn from the our traditional knowledge, Indian traditional knowledge. That is in our DNA because it is there in India. And for that, to inculcate that kind of decision making as a contextual leader, it is extremely important to get into a sense making skills. Sense making skills means today people say Satya Nadella is one of the best sense maker in the world. So you know that 2014, he took a charge as a head of the Microsoft, as a head of the company, Microsoft company, and it was in crisis. Within no time, he turned around the company and he became one of the best leader in the world. And he turned around not only company, but he emerged as a great leader, and many leaders follow his leadership. So why it happened? Because he was a great sense maker. He also used the intuition. So that is where what it makes is, to become a best sense maker, you should have a larger exposure. You should have global exposure, and you should have a large amount of sense making. It comes from working in many organizations. For example, Satya Nadella, before moving to Microsoft, he worked in 4 or 5 organizations, different culture, different exposure. That helps you to make a great sense maker. You also can get that out of listening some of the stories of our great kings of India, some of the stories of Ramayana, Mahabharata, and even Tirukkural in Tamil Nadu. All those kind of our great literature available. Once you go through it prepares you to become a great contextual leader. So digital and contextual leader is a need of an hour. And MBA education through cases. So, for example, Akshay Patra is the best case for the a contextual leader. For example, Arvind Ai is the best case for contextual leader. So like that, there are many best examples. Tata company, Larsen and Toubro, many companies are the best example for a great contextual leaders. So those kind of cases should be taught to the student, and students should get. And for that, students should not expect that this all has to come from the classroom. You learn a very small amount of learning from the classroom. Outside the classroom, you learn a lot. You should learn a lot. And for that, there is a term called peerology. So, or pedagogy. So, peer means basically a peer learning. Students learn from the peers, outside the classroom and within the classroom. You act as a co-learner. So what you do is you do a different role. You play a different role as a learner. And this is how you engage, you involve, and you learn a lot. So particularly in digital and online learning, this pedagogy plays a very, very significant role. You play a role, you actively engage and involve, and then you learn a lot. The moment you involve and engage, your learning capabilities improve. You learn a lot. Your attention span goes up. And that is what need of an hour as an MBA student. This kind of pedagogy is expected, and students' involvement and engagement. And it is up to the students outside the classroom as a virtual group in online learning. Even though you are located in different places, but you all connected to virtual group and you work on a project and you also learn a lot. For example, I think even though your partner institution located in different continents, you can do a project, and they have a different day and night, you are different day and night, and their school is different, your school is different. Still you can do the project. Probably one is in the morning, one is in the afternoon, one is in the midnight, one is in the early morning. All the four schools in different time zone, you will be working together on a project, and that is what you learn, a cross-cultural understanding skill and also global exposure. So these are the skills. Future, whatever the new jobs yet not born, they are going to come, you will be capable of handling such jobs and leading such jobs. And that is why our future skills depend upon the future of corporates, and you don't have clear idea about the future of corporates because contexts are changing. For example, COVID has changed the context. And like that, many such crises may change the context, and that is where it is extremely important for all of us. What are the certain 5-6 skills, irrespective of what context comes, you are a capable a leader to handle the situations and to get into innovation. That is leadership skill, global exposure and cross-cultural understanding, ethical and social responsibilities, and critical thinking and innovative problem solving, and domain knowledge. So one domain knowledge and you have knowledge for in many other areas. It is a T learning, T is all about, you will be having a knowledge in many areas, 4-5 areas you will be having a knowledge, marketing, finance, operation, consulting, information. So all the areas you have knowledge, but your domain knowledge is one particular area. Say strategy is your domain knowledge. That is what, T. One is a deeper knowledge, and other knowledge, you have a general knowledge. So many areas you will be knowing, and one area deep. So it is called as a T learning. So in MBA, future MBA education, T shaped learning is going to play a very important role. So that is why T kind of formula you should adopt in MBA learning. And if you do that, you can pick up any kind of job which is yet to born or is going to born. Then you can handle the problem, you can handle the situation, you can stand up in the crowd the way Satya Nadella is doing, the way Sundar Pichai is handling the job, the way IBM head from India is, Indian is doing. So many Indians setting all those new companies because they are the great digital as well as the great contextual leaders. So that is why these kind of future skills one has to develop. And it is also extremely important to emerge as a leader, a personalized skills. How to give the personal touch is extremely important, and to emerge as a leader. And how it has to be, how relevant you should be always today. You should never be the yesterday. You should be always today. And the great leader is the one. Not only he thinks of today, he thinks of tomorrow, he thinks of day after tomorrow. So what you should see tomorrow, today only. So yesterday of tomorrow is today. That is extremely important. You have to keep in mind. Yesterday of tomorrow is today, and keeping that in mind, you should be always working for tomorrow, because the moment tomorrow comes, you will emerge as a great leader. You will stand up in the crowd. If you only think of today, and somebody else will stand up and you will become a follower. And those kind of skill set during MBA education, within the classroom, outside the classroom, and interacting with many great corporate leaders, I am sure Kishore is the one such leader who always gets the best of the best people in Takshila Business School, and Rajat and Kishore, both of them. I think, I must say you are all lucky to be a part of Takshila Business School, because a plethora of great leaders from the corporate and academia they come and they address you, and probably you will get the traits of the leadership, and there it is today we call it as a human library. All such great people sharing their life experience, probably no book can tell you, no inside classroom you learn, but such leaders, the kind of insights they give, probably that those insights are going to be a turning points for each one of you. I am sure such skills, what is happening today and how to handle them, how to handle the delicate things, and how to stand up in the crowd in this fast changing, uncertain, dynamic, disruptive digital world, they are going to teach. I'm sure you should never miss the opportunities. And if you take care of these things, then I'm sure these future skills, what you say, I'm not talking about those 4, 5 are anyway required. Many more, the technology comes, you should capture those technological areas. And this is the way you have to connect yourself with the future corporate, what they need. You should already have those traits with you. Future of corporates is also changing. Probably today, industries were in China and many of them are shifting to India. Now, after some time, people may say, no, here there is no market. Probably in future, floating industries will come into picture. Industry will be set up in the boat, in a ship. And the moment demand comes down in China, it will move to India. The moment demands come down in India, it may go to Africa. The moment demands come down in this side of Africa, they may go to that side of Africa. So floating factories may come into picture. Floating houses may come into picture. Today we buy a house in cities and all. Probably in future, once you construct a house, same house. So that kind of world is going to come. So many unimaginable things, impossible things are going to happen. You as a MBA graduates, you are going to be, you are going to experience all those, what is impossible today and tomorrow that is going to possible. So in this kind of environment, how to position, that is what you are going to learn in this post-COVID MBA education. And the important thing here is you should always remain grounded. The grounding is extremely important, because arrogancy, the moment arrogancy comes, the day will come, you will lose your power, you will lose your position, and you will lose many things. So that is why it is extremely important. Be humble. Whatever the position you go in the corporate world, you should be humble enough to admit that someone else is better at something, I should learn, and sky is the limit. So keeping these things in mind, if you go for MBA education and if you enter the corporate world, I must tell you, it is unfinished road. You will be keep on walking, keep on climbing, and you are marching towards sky. I am sure people will emerge as a great alumni of a great institution or business school, Takshila Business School. I'm sure you bring the name to your family, name to your school, and yourself stand up as a role model. I'm sure. So if you wholeheartedly accept the online or offline or blended learning, but the learning is important. Central focus has to be learning. If you do that, I'm sure you will emerge as a great young leader. And such kind of leaders India needs, because India is going to take up a leadership of the world. And at that time, in coming few years, you enter the corporate world, you play a significant role to play India as a global leadership. With this, I wish you all the best, great luck. And once again, I thank Kishore-ji, I thank Rajat-ji and entire Takshila family for inviting me to address all of you. Thank you very much, and I'm ready to take questions.
So students are asking for the finance, like how they should work in the finance, MBA in finance. If you can throw some light on that a BCom graduate, right, how he should work on the MBA in finance and how he can edge over the other students and other.
Okay, I think any kind of specialization, whether it is a MBA finance, MBA HR, MBA marketing, I think it is your passion, your interest and passion plays an important role. Whatever the area you choose, suppose if you want to choose MBA finance, I think it is a great area one should do. If somebody say, I want to do every area, you should be the following two mantras, innovation and adaptation. So that you should be the leader, decide particular specialization. As I told you, T, you should know other areas. And finance, if you are making a deeper knowledge area, you can go ahead and do it. But you have to get into two things, innovation and adaptation. So how you can stand up in the, for example, the moment you get into finance, then today fintech is an emerging area. Now today, the moment you say fintech, people used to say nobody can match Bajaj fintech. Now I was listening to Sanjeev Bajaj, one of the station at IMA, and he was telling, India, everybody say Bajaj is the best and fintech and all those. So he was referring when we went to China. After going to China, we realized we have to improve a lot. Because as far as in your own country and you are the best, the moment we look outside India, then we realized we use only few hundreds of, the checklist for giving loan and other things in fintech. But after going to China, he realized many thousands of the parameters they consider for the loan, and they secure as well as they get the success. So then he said, we need to improve. We should be, again I repeat, we should be humble enough to admit that someone else is better at something, and we should wise enough to learn and practice. This is the way we should climb the ladder, and let many may follow us as a role model, but keep on learning, keep on moving on the ladder. So this is the way. Marching towards the skill is the only way. Marching is the only way we can stand up in the crowd and you can be the best. People talk about the moment investment, the moment you talk about the company. Everybody, for example, the moment, if you talk about Reliance, for example, if you talk about Jio, it is a game changer. Because of the boss thinking, how to not only build your own business, but how to watch and how to hit the competition. So if you look at the Reliance, many companies, how they suddenly emerge. So this all happens because of innovation and because of the fast adaptation. So that is why any area is a great area, but how we do the things differently, that is what the corporate world needs. I think that is where our success lies.
That's another question, and there are 2-3 mixed questions by Akansha and other people. Is like I am Bangalore and I am Ahmedabad, right? And the other newer IIMs, like how it's the difference in you having worked already in MDI and other institutes, other premium institutes, right? So what kind of difference you see between non-IIMs and IIMs, and what is your views on this?
No, I think you see. All the institutions, whether IIMs and non-IIMs, you see IIMs emerged as a premier institutions. They born as a great brand and institution of national importance at India as well as global level. But apart from IIMs, there are many institutions in this century emerging. IIMs are, of course, they are the brands and they are doing extremely well. But there are many institutions, they are also growing fast. They are also coming out with a lot of capabilities and lot of new specializations. So they are adding value to the corporate world in different ways. So that is why, it is not that IIMs and non-IIMs, all about a great institution who thinks future and who makes the future capability today, and they are going to emerge as a great schools. And there are many schools in the country, they are making a mark, they are setting a benchmark. Today, if you look at the a hallmark of excellence, I must say, accreditation we say. So if you look at the accreditation, there are today, 3 business schools, they got triple accreditation. If we look at IIM Calcutta, look at IIM Indore, and look at ISB Hyderabad, these 3 have triple accredited, AMBA, IQVIS, ASS. And globally, there are 100 schools. 100 schools is ISB Hyderabad. 100 schools, they got the triple accredited. And out of 100, 3 are from India. And maybe 6 are from China, and many from Europe, and few are from America. So less than 1% of the business schools are triple accredited. But if you look at the out of in India, there are 14 schools. 14 schools they received AACSP, American accreditation. There are 12 schools they received AMBA, and there are 5 schools they received IQVIS. But all the 3 there are only 3 schools. So what I want to say is, total, if you all put together, whatever the 15, 20 institutions, they got into international accreditation, hallmark of excellence, an international standard. So this is the way last 3 to 5 years, India has made a remarkable progress marching towards global standards and also hallmark of excellence. And I'm sure many institutions are in a pipeline for international accreditation. And very soon you will come to know many institutions are going to get one or other triple accreditation. So this is the way Indian schools are also making a mark, and also they are getting into digital platform. And that is where it is not the school, it is basically a business school which is thinking of future of corporates, keeping end in mind those who work, they are going to be a great business schools in coming years. They are the 21st century business schools.
Right. Maitri sir, on the same lines, like last year, this around 3-4 months back, when we had S&P Global and Hindustan Unilever visiting us and picking up students in marketing and data analytics, right? So most of those people which they wanted was focused on data, focused on analytics, skills which are core value of marketing, people who have very good communication skills and all. So what are the 3-4 skill sets which students should develop out for these kind of companies? What you see from your experience, like in corporates and all?
I think students should focus on future generation skills. So future generation, they should take up to get into these kind of companies. Future generation courses means they should get the courses like business analytics, marketing analytics, finance analytics, or HRIS, or HR analytics. So many things related to today is the jamana of analytics. Every time, there was a time people used to look at TQM. There was a time people used to look at BPR, ERP. There is a time now people are looking at analytics. So if you look at some of the reports like Gartner, they say 2021, there are thousands of, companies are requiring, many millions of data scientists and data engineers. Now, data scientists and data engineers, they may come from finance, marketing, and even operations and consulting area. So everywhere these courses are, data visualization, data transformation. So many of these new generation courses students need to take, where these courses are all based on the big data, data analytics, and visualization. And you can see, 10, 20, or 30, 40 companies data in one go, in one page, how to see it. That is a data transformation, data visualization. So this kind of courses, one has to get into that, and I'm sure, and that is what today's companies and those who want to look at tomorrow, they are looking, and students always pick up the new generation courses. What is going to come tomorrow, we should be doing it today. We should be very proactive instead of reactive. And that is what leadership is all about. That is what taking the risk is all about. And that is what each one should be doing. Today, you cannot name the course. Tomorrow, maybe next year, something else, new course may come. We should be the first one to learn and get into details. And if you want to specialize, that T I told, one is to go deeper, and then probably you stand up, I am the data scientist, I am the data analyst. That is how one can come out.
Right, sir. Also, On the same lines, a lot of people are asking about specializations in terms. You already answered, I think, that question in words that which is major specialization, what they should choose out in HR marketing or operations in current scenario. That's already like I think you answered out that it depends on the student's skills and skill sets. So online
Yes.
education, like how does the student work in terms of not offline classes, but on the online system? So what are the few things which they should take care when they are doing these online classes and working online?
I think it is a very great question. I must say, students have to follow certain norms to really enjoy online learning. Number one, they should follow certain things which are common. One is they should first positive about online classes, and they should arrange their laptop or systems and whatever the audio visuals well in advance, 15 minutes, even class also, physical classroom, 10 minutes, the students sit in the class, 5-10 minutes before the teacher comes. Here also they should arrange all the online system in place. And the moment teacher comes, they should also, first of all, they should refer the whatever in online. Basically, it is extremely important. They should refer the course material, and online course material or e-material is different than the physical material. So e-cases, e-material, and even e-audio-visual kind of cases, all they should do the good homework before attending the online class. If they really want to enjoy learning, they really want to inculcate learning into deeper depth, they should do the good homework, refer the course material given, and also they should also think on the today I'm going to learn this course. And if they refer the course material, they can ask the intelligent questions, because asking creative question in the classroom, basically great learning happens. Instead of asking casual questions, we have to ask the questions which never professor thinks. Such kind of questions, if the student asks, probably it is not only great learning for that student, but every student, they learn a lot. So that is why one is good homework, and they should not simply keep the on and they disappear from the place, and probably professor think that all students are sitting in their home and listening, but if students may disappear, so that should not happen. That is why students should be committed, and they should be ready to listen, and they should also humble enough that, and they should connect that learning to the learning outcome. This course I am learning, for example, I am learning marketing analytic course. Now, what learning outcome for my, after completion of MBA, this course connects. For example, marketing analytic. So this helps me to get into innovative problem solving learning outcome. This marketing analytic course helped me to get into a critical thinking. Now, one course may basically introduce a particular learning outcome. Another course may reinforce the learning outcome. Third course, for example, capstone and all kind of some simulation games may achieve mastery in that particular learning outcome. A student should connect the, while learning the course, they should know that this course is going to give me this outcome, a learning outcome for my MBA. So once they finish all the courses, they realize these all the 25, 30 or 30, 40 courses I learned in 2 years, and they have given these 6 learning outcomes. Now I am a students. So this is how, if they connect each and every course with the learning outcome, I am sure using those courses, they play a very, very significant role like Arjuna in the corporate war, and they will win the war.
So coming back on the simulations, we use the Inside Spera and live projects, and the students were able to appreciate the practical knowledge and working on. So what's your views on the simulations and how simulations should work out in the courses of management?
Yeah, simulations, even face to face, we conduct the same way. Same, rule of the game can be applied. Simulation games for the students, and the simulation is a best way of making students mastery in that particular learning outcome. Simulation games, because students get involved, engaged in the decision-making process. Actually, they play as a co-learner, co-creator, and also co-decision maker. And that is how they learn a lot. And simulation courses and live courses, live projects, basically they make them as a master in that particular learning outcome. And more such kind of courses probably help the students to achieve mastery. The highest level of learning can happen, and it helps them to become a great synthesizer, creator, and strategy formulation, and all those kind of things. So basically, they emerge as a great leader if this kind of courses they do well.
Right. So, Dr. Mehdi, last two questions. One is on the storytelling skill, as in how the data, like you being from the operation field, right? A lot of data and a lot of numbers comes into your studies and research and all those things. So, how those data can be created into a story format, and how the students can develop a storytelling mindset. So, that is something which, if you can throw light on that, what are the steps they should work towards the storytelling mindset, and how they can develop the research analytical skills towards education and towards the business and courses.
Great. So storytelling skills, it is the first thing I must advise all my dear students. They should listen to the corporate leaders, CEOs, or the managing directors of the company. Such people, when they come and address, they will tell their life story, how they started their career, how they, what they did and how we emerged, how, some of them, how accidentally they got into the role and how they became a leader. So all those, if you listen to such leaders, probably you will understand the life, journey of such great leaders, and that itself is a great story. For example, if you talk about Larsen and Toubro, our Nayakji is a great leader. And if you look at his journey from since early 1960s to till now, more than 50 years, from where he has taken the company Larsen and Toubro, where as a great leader, emerging leader, or even if you look at the Tata company, Ratan Tata, or even if you look at the our ITC, Chopal, Akshay Patra. So all such leaders, or Azim Premji is a great leader. So all such leaders' life story, Azim Premji, after coming from America, dropping from engineering and during the 90s, he moved his business from oil and healthcare into the IT, and he built a great empire, and entire world is recognized, Wipro and Infosys. These are the great stories. And when this kind of story students listen, they know that how to synthesis and how to create a story, and they learn the skill of, how to put into a form of, because they already learn the cases. Many caselets are there, cases Harvard or even our many Indian cases they learn. Then automatically they know how to get into a journey of, the storytelling, and also how they develop the skill for storytelling. This is how basically the entry point is. They listen to such leaders, and they also how the cases are developed, how the story is created, how the actors are playing a role in the cases. That also they systematically they study and they go into the deeper depth. They can become a best storytellers.
That's it. And the last question on the research part of
but research part. So you said how to, can you repeat once again, Rajat?
Also, like we had a mini MBA few days back. What we are doing is we are doing mini MBA series. There is a certificate program of 2 days into various fields like analytics and marketing and HR. And we have next week of finance and all. So we had Dr. Merchant, Parimal Merchant from SPGen director. He also visited us, and a lot of questions were there. On the asking of question scenario, like how the research mindset and the question asking, right, how students can develop this mindset where they can ask a lot of questions, because we have seen that all the successful business owners and CEOs ask good questions, right? And that is the quality common among all of those people. Plus, you're guiding 600 people plus more people into the PhD and all. So the question asking skill, right? You would have also observed that which if a student or a person is able to develop, becomes more successful, right? So how the students can develop this kind of skill set?
So Rajat, it is again another great question. You see, right question, or you see, asking a great question is extremely important, because learning happens out of that. Great learning happens out of that. Now, to do that, as a student, I advise to all my dear student is, if suppose you are calling such is in any area they are coming and addressing, and how right question should be asked. Once the topic is known, say if somebody is coming and addressing on financial analytics or business analytics or marketing analytics or any such course, then a student should refer one or two research papers in that area. They should going through the research article related to that particular topic. Once they go through the research topic, they will get the insights, they will get the problem statement of the research paper, and they will also get the some decision making and some gaps in that particular area. Once they go through one or two research papers, and out of that, after going through, this is called as a homework. Once they do that homework, and then in a group they discuss what kind of question we should be posing to such a speaker, so that we can learn a lot. So this is how in a group, once each one of them go through and they come out with the discussion questions, one or two. If you read the case, end of the case, there are some discussion questions. Same way, after reading the article, students should come out with those questions, and when asking the question, they should say that, you know, we have gone through so and so case and so difficulties and so solutions, and today that solution is not relevant. And what do you suggest? You know, for example, if I talk about a Kodak or companies like Nokia, you can say that 2014 or 15, it was a world top-notch company, suddenly it disappeared. Now, what went wrong? Now, the question is, they failed to connect with the ground, they failed to connect with the customer, and they failed to connect with, adopt the latest technology, they failed to connect with Android and many, you know, its associated vendors. And that is how they disappeared, and other companies came up, and this suddenly disappeared from the market. So now this kind of example giving, this is what happened. Now in this case, how do you take care if the changes are happening? You know, this is how referring to those articles and those questions, pointed questions, so that you can ask the pointed questions only when you do the good homework. And good homework beginning is particularly research questions, reading few research papers and discussing in group and doing the, any speaker comes, you know, if you have such a pointed questions, and there are two benefits happen. One, you know, a students not simply listening what I am talking, they realize that these students are, I go many places, but these students are different because they do the great homework and they ask the great questions. And for me, it is difficult to answer. You know, every speaker should realize the answer for the question is difficult. If you give that in the minds of the speaker, so their image about the students and school will be entirely different. And going back to the company, they will say that if this school is not in the list, probably you add in the panel this particular school, because there are the students we need, future leaders, we need such kind of students, because they ask intelligent questions, they ask out of box questions. That kind of image building also happens, and it is a great brand building for the institution. But the beginning is, they should do the homework with reading those research articles in that area.
Excellent. So on coming back to the reading part, like, can you suggest some of the books for the management students, and how, any books if you have in mind? Kishore sir, can you come online and we'll do the closing?
I think as I repeatedly say, readers are the future leaders, and reading habits have gone down. Now, what books to read? Basically, you see, there are many great leaders in the world. If you read about Gandhi, if you read about Nelson Mandela, you can get the great humility. Fifth level of leadership, one wants to think and kill the arrogancy, and still even at the top of the top. So such kind of learning, if you want to make, and if you want to follow that path of humility, then probably one should read Nelson Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi kind of leaders. And if you want to learn a great capability, for example, today, where there are no roads, you want to create a road and you want to set as a role model, then one should read about Satya Nadella. How he became a great sense maker. One should read about Sundar Pichai, how he So, or once if you want to during the a context, how to exploit the context and become the best, and probably you should read about the Jock Welch, you know, when there was employment crisis and he made everybody, if you don't wear any one of the belt, you know, I'm not talking about this belt, but talking about Six Sigma, you know, green belt, black belt, and all those. You know, if you are not having any one of the belt, then you don't have any room in this company. So he created that kind of image. He followed the shaking strategy. So reading such leaders, Jock Welch, then you will how you situational leadership you can create. So that is why what I want be or what I'm looking accordingly, you can choose few books, and every books you learn a lot about those leaders because their life journey, their decision, where they failed, how they succeed. Another best book, you know, I can suggest Gopal Krishnan, who was, you know, who spent more than 50 years, you know, he was executive director at Tata Sons, and prior to that 31 years, 20 years executive director of Tata Sons, and he spent 31 years in Hindustan Unilever, and he is an alumnus of IIT Kharagpur. He is a professor of eminence. He wrote 5 books, and one book which I liked, I was also releasing that book. He invited me in Cochin, May 2018. I think that book is a crash, CRASH. So 15 CEOs entering into the corporate, and he has a very beautifully 15 great CEOs of the world. He has narrated the story, and chapter 2 he talks about power. Basically, power corrupts the brain. That is a chapter 2 he talks about. So basically, how based on those 15 CEO lessons, each and every students can learn a lot. It is a small book, very beautiful book. I read 2 times because I was also about to as a book releasing ceremony talk on that. It is a great book. Every student should read that book. And he also wrote many book, you know, along about the life journey of AM Naik, L&T, and Tata. Many books he has written about the in the form of story about Indian corporates like L&T, like even Tata. His experience working with Tata, he has said. So such books, and he is a great writer. I am sure, and these are the small books students can read, and they can learn a lot, and they can turn their life to lead as a great leaders of the nation in the corporate world, as well as they can contribute for the nation reading such books.
Kishore sir, you have been interacting with Maitri sir from last few years, and he has been also a pillar in suggestion and a mentor to you in terms of developing the institute, right? So can you give a thanks note and maybe speak something about how it has been your journey with him? Unmute, you need to unmute yourself.
Raja sir, a little bit correction, not for the last 2 years. Probably we are in touch with each other for more than 10 years now.
Last 10 years.
Yeah, probably more than 10.
No, yeah. Precisely we have met, you know, Raman's accreditation in 2007. Correct. Is it not?
2007.
In
Very
Delhi.
correct, sir. So it's almost 13 years now.
That is the first day we interacted.
Right, yeah. Right, sir. Right, sir. Right, sir. So every time I meet Dr. Maitri, you know, my learning goes from this level to that level. Right? Even although it was a small 1 hour of discussion, but yes, the kind of knowledge what I gathered, probably my students and the participants, they must have been benefited, like, you know, on their best. So thank you, Dr. Maitri sir. Thank you for being with us, and we hope that, you know, again you'll keep on enlightening us on the different, you know, things. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rajat sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, and my best wishes to all their students and Takshila business.
Thank you,
sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, Maitri sir.
For the students, we also have mini MBA in finance, which we will be declaring soon. It will be available on the Takshila website, and you can go to the event section and register for the same. The registration will start on 13th of June. It will be a 2 days program for finance students, so you can go and register there. 13th of June, it will start. The registrations will start for that. Thank you. Thank you, Maitri sir, for joining us, and we look
Thank
forward to more interactions in future.
Thank you very much.
All the past events which we have done data analytics workshop and mini MBA in data analytics in finance and all, and different mini MBAs. So the certificates are already available on the event section. We'll be conducting regular mini MBAs, and you can see those. If the host can share the screen and open the mini MBA series, the event section once. Bhavani sir, can you open the mini MBA section? I am not able to put the screen share. So it's available on Takshila's website. You can go to www.takshila.in and register yourself. We'll have mini MBA in marketing also very soon, where students can take a 2-day certificate program. All these are certificate programs where you also get a certificate. So we have one plan for finance next week and another on international business and marketing. So the dates will be available soon for the same. If anyone has any questions or suggestions, you can put them on the chat window. Otherwise, we are closing the meeting in next 2 minutes from now. At 12:20, we'll be closing the meeting out. The recording is available on the Facebook and the YouTube page of Takshila. Also, of all the past programs of Shiv Khera and Dr. Maitri and Parimal Merchant and Lavina, Professor Alka, and all these people are available on the website. Also on the Facebook page of Takshila Business School.
Yeah, the certificates for this event will be available after 5 p.m. You need to go to Takshila's website and the event section, and there's an menu certificate. Need to click on that. You can download the certificates.
So you can open the Takshila website.